Okay, so we're here today to talk about property assessed clean energy financing and the opportunities for Stevens County businesses. So the obvious launching point for any talk such as this is the why and the what. So what is PACE? So PACE financing is a funding mechanism that allows property owners to fund energy and water efficiency projects, as well as renewable energy projects with little to no upfront costs. It's especially important, in our current economic recession and, COVID. A lot of people are looking for different ways they can reduce operating costs, and PACE is one of the really good mechanisms for you to start to streamline your operations, lower your energy costs with, as I said, little to no upfront costs. With PACE, eligible property owners living within a local government area that has adopted the program can finance up to 100% of their project and pay it back over time as a voluntary property tax assessment on their existing property tax bill. So Stevens County has entered into a joint powers agreement with the St. Paul Port Authority, which manages this project for Minnesota. So if you are in Stevens County, you are eligible for this program. So it sounds at the outset a little bit like a loan, but there's some important differences. This is tied to the specific property, not the individual taking out the loan. So, it stays with your property should you sell, move, whatever. And that also means you don't have to put up personal financing or collateral to back up the assessment. And more importantly, I think, is it contains multiple provisions that protects the property owner by guaranteeing net savings over the life of the project and ensuring that the annual savings are going to be more than the assessment that you're going to pay to the county. And that kind of protects you from outside companies coming in and saying, oh yeah, we're going to do this project and save you X amount of dollars. And if it turns out you don't, then you're on the hook for that additional money and you're disappointed and you got a bad taste in your mouth about energy efficiency stuff. But PACE is an excellent way to let you kind of dip your toes in the process and realize some of the benefits without taking as much of a risk. So what is the idea behind PACE? The ultimate goal of the program is to make energy efficiency upgrades and renewable energy investments more attractive and affordable for commercial property owners. And as a result, of course, you're going to use less energy and your utility bills are going to go down. In addition, local communities are better positioned to reduce their emissions if they go from, or if they implement carbon-free energy sources, and this helps the state meet its climate change goals. It also aids in economic development through stimulated job creation by raising demand for energy efficiency consultants or different equipment installers. It's always good to kind of increase the demand for those things. So hopefully we can make Morris an attractive location for some of these businesses to move into. And how does this line up with our Morris model goals? Well, in two ways. So of our big three goals, this meets or helps us towards achieving two of them, namely reducing energy consumption in the county 30% by 2030, as well as increasing the amount of renewable electricity generated within the county. And we're targeting 80% of county electricity consumption generated locally by 2030 as well. So, we talk about the idea behind PACE at the state level, but, obviously everybody's here to talk about how PACE can benefit them. So that's what we go over on this slide here. So as we said, it can allow eligible properties to finance up to 100% of their project costs, allowing projects to be amortized over a longer period of time, and they're cash flow positive from day one. So that's a big take. That's why it's in bold right there. PACE helps property owners reduce operating costs while increasing their property value. And I should mention, we'll get into it a little bit more later, but this is also an opportunity for people who have commercial rental properties. So by lowering your utility bills, that increases the what will the term be? That just makes your properties more competitive on the market when you can tell potential tenants that their utility bills will be down, and it'll increase the property value of your rental. Also, capital investments in energy efficiency using PACE financing can help owners increase their rent, like I just said, decrease vacancy, and attract high quality tenants. Operating expenses such as this assessment may be able to be passed on through to the tenants, similar to a property tax. If the property is sold, the financing assessment stays with the property and transfers to the new property owner, since these improvements will also remain on the property. The interest rates are often low. I don't know what they are today. Maybe someone on that call does. I know it kind of depends project to project, but typically they're low because of the high security of repayments attached to the property tax bill and the fact that it's backed by the county and the St. Paul Port Authority. The assessments are advantageous in that they generally require, or they generally are for longer terms than banks allow, and this helps you realize the energy, the payback period on your energy efficiency project. Typically those can take longer in time than you can get a loan repayment term from a bank. So these are, I believe it's up to 20 years as of right now terms, but typically around 10. But the key is that it's lined up with the expected life of the equipment that you're installing to increase your energy efficiency or production. And the last thing on the bottom right there says that these PACE assessments do not require a personal guarantee. So, as we talked about earlier, you're not putting up your own home, car, checking account or anything, or business assets. It's just the property itself. So the opportunities for PACE implementation in Stevens County are great. Specifically speaking to the renewable energy part, most of what a commercial operation here in Stevens County would look to do is put solar on their roof. So in case you didn't know, Minnesota has the same available solar resources as Houston, Texas, and Morris is no exception to this. Commercial and light industrial districts in Morris are particularly well suited for solar installations. On the left, you can see a solar resource map. It's an online tool that the University of Minnesota has made. So the lighter the color on that map, the better the solar resource you have and the more potential a site has for generating renewable electricity. And as you can see, it's kind of dark in all of our residential areas of Morris. But if you look down where the industrial areas to the north and south of the city, as long as along Highway 59, there's the commercial district, there's wide open space, not a lot of shading, so plenty of potential for solar installations there. On the right-hand side, you see a map of the county by county breakdown of energy burden, which is how much of a household or business income is dedicated to utility bills, and that includes all bills, electricity, gas, or other energy types. And you can see the average annual cost for Minnesota is about $2,000 annually. But if you look at Stevens County, we're sitting $1,800 over that. And some of that is also tied to just the income of the county when it's expressed as a percentage of income. But you can see that as is common in a lot of different rural areas, energy costs often are higher than in metro areas and take up a significantly higher portion of the of annual revenue. But that being said, we benefit greatly from Otter Tail Power's historically low rates. They keep it that way, and they work with us, as Lori said, on many different projects for energy efficiency and stuff. And for that, we're definitely grateful. But the gist of this slide is there's plenty of opportunity out there. PACE has historically, unfortunately, been kind of an underutilized resource here for us in the county. So that's why we're here talking today and hoping to spread the word a little bit. So in case you're afraid of, thinking this is like a pilot project and all the kinks haven't been worked out and it's kind of confusing and whatnot, you can rest assured that PACE has a history of success in Minnesota. As you can see on this map, there's over 300 projects that have been completed in pretty much, I'd say most of the counties of the state. So we also have a recent one that is a pretty big, exciting one here in Morris with the DENCO. And I see Carson's online. Maybe at the end, Carson, if you'd be willing, you can share a little bit of your experience with doing the project. But that'll be, the first big one here in Morris. So we're very excited. And other than that, Trailblazers have worked out the kinks and established a strong network of expertise and support for new organizations looking to take advantage of the program, as you can see with like Peter Lindstrom being here with us. So, we have plenty of experience to lean back on. and make sure it's a smooth process for anybody considering. So eligibility requirements for the property, it's essentially, you're going to have to be in good standing on your financials. So in addition to being the legal owner of the property, if there's multiple legal owners of the same property, they all need to agree to participate in the program together. You have to be current on your existing mortgage, not defaulted on any deeds of trust, not subject to any involuntary liens or judgments, and not delinquent on property taxes. That's an important one. You must be subject to the appropriate jurisdictions permitting inspections and all other applicable federal, state, and local codes and regulations. And I'll let you know, in case you haven't heard, the city has recently gone over their solar ordinances and updated them. So it's a very easy permitting process. It's, the minimum fee of $36, one form to fill out, super easy. If solar is one of the things you're looking to do. The property owner must not be in bankruptcy. And the terms, number 7 there states the terms of the financing requested. The term of the financing requested does not exceed the weighted average of the useful life of the improvements. So that's something we talked about previously. So if you're going to say put in a new water heater system and the expected useful life is 10 years, the term of the financing has to be less than or equal to that 10 years. Prior to acceptance, you have to obtain an energy audit or renewable energy feasibility study on the property. And I think once we're done with the presentation, we'll have a little Q&A, and Lori can describe some of the ways that Otter Tail can help with those audits. They have an office set up to do those types of things. And properties must be in a jurisdiction that has a PACE program, which we stated Stevens County does. So here's from the St. Paul Port Authority page, a little simple breakdown of additional requirements. So as I said, I threw in earlier, nonprofits and churches are also eligible, very important to note. And the cap of it is 20% of the assessed value of the property is the highest amount you can take out to put on as the assessment. Renewable only projects are eligible. The minimum amount is $2,500 for any type of PACE assessment. The maximum loan term is 15 years here. Maybe Pete, could you clarify real quick? Because I've seen 20 other places.
Yeah, it's 20 years. That's
okay.
Likely a typo. So thanks for catching that.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So the interest rate is typically fixed under 5%. There is no origination fee, and mortgage lender consent is required. So, basically when you're looking at the ideal projects for this type of funding mechanism, it's typically going to be older buildings in need of major upgrades, properties with no mortgage or low loan to value ratio, multifamily housing, industrial manufacturing facilities, of which we have many here, and agricultural producers, of course, tons here in Morris and Stevens County. Excuse me. So, the rule of thumb, I'll just skip to number 3. You can read the rest of the slide as I'm talking, but the rule of thumb for eligibility is if your project is eligible for an energy rebate and can pay for itself in under 20 years, it's likely to be eligible for PACE financing. And, if you don't know where to look to find what these rebates are I'm mentioning, there's a fantastic resource. It's desireusa.org. It's something put out by the North Carolina Clean Energy Technology Center. And I think other states didn't even try to create their own system like this because Desire's done such a good job from the outset. So if you take note of the URL at the top there, you can go in and search. You can see I put 3 filters on for businesses in Minnesota in our zip code, and it will show you all the different energy rebate programs and incentives you qualify for. And there's only 4 shown here, but that's just because all I could capture. That was all I could capture on a screenshot, but there's actually 32 available rebate programs for Stevens County. But I would first point people to Otter Tail Power's rebate system, or AgriLight or Runestone Co-op if that is your utility provider. And CenterPoint also has some different rebate programs specifically tied to the gas things. So if you qualify for an energy rebate, assume you're good to go on PACE and reach out and at least start to investigate the process. Project implementation steps are to complete an application. Of course, there's going to be an application. Part of that is to conduct an energy audit or the renewable energy feasibility study. And Otter Tail Power has, these assessments, and I should have looked at Agrolite and Runestone. I apologize, but I did not before this, but I will have a note when I put this archive video up with links to their services if they provide those as well. And you can submit these cost estimates from the audit or the energy feasibility study from a licensed contractor along with your application, and then provide 3 years worth of organization financial statements. It sounds more daunting than it is. It's just, the stuff that you're going to have on file anyway as a business owner or commercial property operator. And those all get bundled up in your main application that you submit through the county. Some important timing considerations. So you're going to pay this back as you would any other assessment on your property. So twice yearly payments in the spring and fall. It appears as a line item on your property tax bill and is submitted as a part of the same payment. So the best thing you can do is to kind of have your project approved shortly after you pay these property taxes, because then you have all the time before your next property tax bill comes due to realize those energy savings, and now keep the project cash flow positive from month to month. And you can see the benefits immediately upon completion of the project. So lastly, we have the resources for more information. These are all excellent places that you can go to learn more than I was able to present in our brief talk today. But Clean Energy Resource Teams at the top, of course, they have a lot of great brochures and FAQ pages that address frequently asked questions and common concerns people have. There's also the minpace.com is, that's the actual program page, and they also have very good resources for people looking to get more information about it. The next link down there is the landing page at the Stevens County website, where our Stevens County PACE coordinator, Rebecca Young, that has her contact information that you would get in touch with if you're looking to start going down the road on this process. And lastly, we have Otter Tail's website. There are ways to save, rebates, and savings that customers are eligible for here. So with that, I think, Lori, would you mind talking real quick about energy audit services that are provided by Otter Tail Power?
Sure. We do have different audit services that are available, and it depends on what type of customer you are, meaning if you're in manufacturing, retail, processing, you're going to need a different kind of audit depending upon what your business is. And the in-depthness of the audit varies depending, again, on the type of facility that you have, but also on your rate structure. But anyone who is interested in enrolling in PACE and interested in having an audit of their facility can reach out to me anytime, and I can meet with you and we can get that process started. It's not something that we do in-house. We outsource that to other firms that we work very closely with and have had these relationships for many years. There's also some good information about the audit programs on our website as well.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the end of my presentation here. So we have time for questions, if anybody has any on the top of their head right now.
And we just recently utilized the MinPace program through the Port Authority. I see Michael's on. He was very helpful. The guys at the Port Authority are extremely helpful throughout the entire process. The application is not very daunting, truly, as opposed to some other grants and things that we've worked on. The MinPace process was fairly, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was less difficult than others. And then one of the neat things, and I think Chris, you might have talked to this a bit, but there was no origination fee, no application fee for the note. We got a fairly sizable loan over 10 years. And the neat thing about it is, all the money comes in, the interest rates are attractive. We don't have a payment due until after the equipment will be operating. So we're doing what's called, the equipment we're putting in is called stack heat recovery and flower heating. We'll be recovering waste heat off of our RTO stack at the facility. And that will recover clean water off of that stack. And then some of the heat that's recovered will be pushed into our distillation system, saving energy. And then some more heat will be pushed into our incoming flour, corn flour into the plant. That also reduces the energy consumption at the plant. So the project had like a natural ROI, call it, of about 3 years. But with the financing available to us from the Port Authority through MinPace, the return is significantly better because the money comes in all right away, and the project will be paying for itself. We'll have returned, we'll have saved more money in energy before our first payment than the first payment will be, so to speak. So I would recommend everyone look into this. DENCO will be kind of noodling over, what else can we do that could potentially qualify for this program. And if there are other businesses that have, anything, there's many different things that are super flexible to work with. Of course, our system is going to be different than like a solar application or who knows what else, if you're upgrading a boiler or something like that. They're super good to work with, very easy to work with, answer the phone, emails back and forth. So it's a great program. DENCO is very thankful for it. I'd like to say thank you to Michael and those who brought the program to us because it's a big deal for our business. It'll keep us operating. So highly recommended.
Awesome.
I am going to answer if anyone has any questions for me on the process or anything like that. I would make myself available either now or if you want to, you can find my contact information, get a hold of me. I'm certainly willing to help or answer any questions from the, I don't know what you want to call it, the debtor side of the process. So, and then thanks, Chris, for the invite as well.
Carson, this is Lori from Otter Tail Power. Have you been working with your industrial rep, Jesse, on this project to make sure that you're going to receive any grants or rebates that might qualify for this efficiency upgrade?
So the efficiencies in this project is mostly natural gas related.
Okay.
But I have been, we're in contact with Jesse on some other projects.
Okay, great. If for some reason you can't get a hold of Jesse at some time, I'm in Morris and you're more than welcome to reach out to me and I'll back him up and try to help be a conduit to him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing your perspective of the process, Carson. It's good to hear that it's easier than assumed and less of a pain than a lot of people might think comes with a state level project or contracting procedures such as this. But I think it's a good testament to, if it works for a huge facility like DENCO, it's probably going to be easy to implement in an older building, commercial building, or a smaller operation in the city. So it's definitely exciting. And thank you for your generous offer to be a touch point for information moving forward for anybody as well. I'd like to also say, we'll call it the Morris Office of Sustainability here. My little room is also available anytime anyone has any questions or wants to start to investigate the possibility of taking advantage of this or other energy themed projects or funding mechanisms or things like that. That's the whole reason. That's the entire reason I'm here. So I'm trying to amass as much information about projects such as this and get that information out the best way possible, which unfortunately right now is Zoom. But like I said, when we return to normal, we'll be doing more face-to-face and other meetings that we can get this information out there. So that being said, I'll open it up for any last questions.